Well, the test drive was going great until it wasn't. We got this transmission in months ago and it's just been sitting over here on the shelf waiting, and now it's time to pull it out, unbox it, and rip the old one out of Roxy so that we can get this new one in there and be ready for race week, which is in a few weeks. Couple, 3? Yeah, we need to work.
It's soon enough that we should probably unbolt it, not rip it out. Dust off.
Level 5 Super Magnum.
Not gonna tear this one up. Oh yeah.
This is my level 5 Super Magnum T56, converted for the GTO with bungs and sprayers. This is a new transmission for TIC Performance, and it's based on a Magnum F. So it has the stronger, newer, and easier to fix internals. It's converted to fit the GTO and beefed up to handle all the power I'm gonna throw at it. It includes the fluid pump and sprayers, which coat the front gears in oil during hard launches. This T56 with TR6060 internals is going to be so beefy on Roxy, and I can't wait to jam the gears going down the track with this transmission. I am now on the mission of removing the shifter bolts that go down into the top of the transmission. I pulled out the center console in the car so that all that was freed up, but I just decided to unbolt the top of the shifter from here so that we don't have to worry about trying to get that down through the trans tunnel. I think that'll be good. Yeah. After that, start on some bell housing bolts. If you're new to this channel, I'll give you a little history on this GTO, which is actually a Holden Monaro from Australia. This was my first car in 2005. I bought it used in November with 7,000 miles on it, and it's a 2005 model, so it was still like pretty dang new. I was 18, and I had started my career early, around 15, so I had money and I had a need to have a reliable vehicle. We live outside of Dallas, Texas, and my work was all in Dallas, so I needed a nice, reliable car to drive back and forth. Incidentally, I was a gearhead. Aaron and I got together the same year that I started my career. I was 14, and when the GTOs came out in 04, I just latched onto them. I said, Aaron, I've got to get one of those cars. They're so cool and unique, and I love that they have like a Corvette powertrain, but they look like a sleeper. I just had to have one. So this car has close to 200,000 miles on it now. Granted, most of the car has been modified. It's not the original engine. We have the cast iron block that's LQ9 truck block that's stroked out to 408 cubic inches, so it's a 6.7 liter with a Magnuson TVS 2300 supercharger on it. The bottom end of the engine is all forged, and it will handle a lot of boost. It's not getting a lot of boost right now. We don't have a super stellar fuel system on the car quite yet, so we're only running about 6 pounds of boost. But it put around 600 to the back tire and is an absolute blast to drive. We took it on Hot Rod Drag Week in September of last year, which was 2019, after we installed the supercharger, and had an absolute blast. If you're interested in seeing that series, then head on over to the playlist because there's a bunch of videos from that whole exciting chapter. And in addition to the supercharger, I did a 9-inch center section swap in the rear end. We also did coilovers and upgraded the stub shaft and tow rods. So a lot of the drivetrain has been modified on her. We also caged the car, which is crazy, but we did. My best time that I ran last year at Drag Week was an 1170 at 127 miles an hour. My main problem that I had, other than just driving the car, because it's a 6-speed and learning how to get my shifts down and make the most of my launch, was that my second gear synchronizers in my original transmission, this guy right up here, they were toast. I mean, I would try and jam it into second gear off the line, and the car would say, nah. And I'd be like, get into second gear, and finally it would go in. But my 60-foot suffered greatly. I'm so excited, needless to say, to install this new transmission. I think it's going to be a game changer. And I hope that I can refine my driving skills to make us proud. But if anything, I'm going to have fun. It is such a blast. Alrighty, our shifter is loose up there, and that will be of help whenever we're pulling her down. Alright, what do y'all say we start tinkering with some of these bell housing bolts? Yay. Plan now is to lower our transmission crossmember down. I think that I have a couple bolts left on the top of the transmission, but I can't seem to see them, so I'm going to remove this guy, lower the transmission down a little bit, and see if I have bolts left. And if I don't, then it'll be time to slide the transmission out and down, and then really out. I can't see it, but I can feel it, and I just know it's there because I know that there's one that's right on top of that little ledge.
Yeah, if you're ever in doubt, just go look at your new transmission.
Yeah, I know, I was just thinking that. All the keyboard warriors had already told me that, I'm sure. I mean, the helpful experts, of course. There we go, we're on our last bolt there. All right. Put one of my exhaust bolts in here to secure my chain. Huh? Oh yeah, that's ghetto, but it works. Ooh. Just like that, y'all. Dang. Just come right out. You ready, little mama? No? A little bit? Coming pretty good. Okay, I'm going to get my master cylinder line, my clutch line off. Yeah. Yay! Old transmission's out. It's time to put the new transmission on the trans jack and install it in the car. So excited. Alrighty, our first step before we install our slave cylinder and toss this transmission right where it belongs is we have to be sure that we get our shims correctly for the slave cylinder. Some applications don't require shims, some applications require multiple shims. We've already done the measurements and actually called TIC's tech line just to be sure we're doing it right, and we're gonna share with you guys what we learned.
For our first measurement, we're going to take our little ruler here and we're just creating a flat surface to measure from. Then we'll go to our fingers on the clutch. The highest point on them, you can see where the throwout bearing was rubbing before. So if we look at that, that is 2 inches and 3/8. So now we'll go measure the transmission and make sure that we have the proper clearance for that throwout bearing.
So we removed the spring off of our slave cylinder so that we could get maximum compression.
Okay, so that is flush. What you want to do here is put your ruler up against this throwout bearing. Yeah, we're just going to be conscious of that ruler and try to make sure it's flush. And then we're going to go to the edge of that. We're reading, I can't see it from here, but it looks like 2 5/16 maybe. Yeah, 2 15/16. So, because our distance is further in there, that says we have a gap of 7/16. That is way too much. They're wanting like 1/8. And so what we've done, we were not sure if we could run 2 shims, even though we needed 2 shims. So we called TIC, gave them our measurements, and they said, yes, you can run the 180 and the 55. So that's what we're going to do. And that's going to give us a little bit of room, because the last thing you want is for this to be bottomed out and still pressing on those fingers a little bit, because then the clutch will be partially released all the time. So, got that kind of lined up. Put this dude on right there, and we went to the hardware store and found bolts. So
yeah, that was one of the things Chris told us on the tech line, was that we would need different bolts, longer bolts, because of our shims. So we went and grabbed longer bolts, and they were easy to get. So we did a ton of research as to if it was okay for us to run more than one shim. I couldn't find anything. I was reading forum post after forum post, and finally I just decided to get a hold of TIC and ask them, and it was so good. They were so great on the phone. They were just like, yeah, that's not a problem. People run 2. It's no big deal. And he went over my measurements and he confirmed that's what we needed. So we feel good about it. I'm excited. That concludes tech tip on the slave cylinder.
that's right. We're just going to tighten these bolts up, and then we're going to
bleed it.
Yeah, so we're going to change out this bleeder, which is really difficult to get to, especially if you're at something like race week and you want to bleed it real quick. You don't want to lay into the car. So we're going to replace that with a fast bleed system, and then we have a steel braided line basically that goes here. So we'll install that and then roll this thing under.
Incoming. Do. This transmission is gonna be so sick.
Hopefully it's healthy, not sick.
I just wanted to hug it before we install it.
All right.
We're gonna have a lot of adventures, babe.
Yep.
This thing's gonna send me down the track so smooth.
Let's get one last look at it before it's covered in oil from Roxy's engine. from the blow-by.
Shut up, babe. Hey, she's pretty clean. The newest build doesn't leak that much. You turd bird. It's gotta go back. Okay. Now we can go up for 30 minutes. I'm gonna see if I can hold the same face.
You know what we did not buy? A new transmission route. We can change it out easy when it comes in.
Oh, that was not easy. I couldn't do it the whole time.
We're only halfway there.
I know, but you were talking to me and I felt bad to not respond. That seemed to be kind of wanting to go in a little bit.
How's your angle now?
To me, it looks like it's angled downward, but like the shaft is now angled downward instead of upward, but I could be wrong. How about you look at it and glance at it from up here? You want me to put a shin on it and you can look at it?
Yes, it's definitely angles. So let's let it down some. We'll get it eventually.
That's right. Ah, there she was. Ah. Mama. Alrighty, it's in. Sort of, almost, kinda. Let me go find my bolts.
Right. I'm gonna go make some beans.
Babe,
Dinner time.
make some beans. You sure you want to feed me beans, Aaron?
Yeah, not really, but I want some beans.
I believe we have tight trans to bell housing bolts. I just finished getting off the tops with my mile-long extension setup, and I'm going to check these bottoms now. Alrighty. Oh my gosh. Time for our lovely cross member, which we need a new trans mount really bad, but we're gonna go back with the old one. Aaron said we can probably get one on before we leave for the trip, but I'm not counting on it. I'm counting on running the old one. Alrighty, let's get our transmission mount mounted to the new trans, and then we will install the cross member. Alrighty. Alrighty, y'all. It has been a very productive day in the shop. The transmission is in. Tomorrow we will focus on the drive shafts and doing the plumbing for the sprayers for that transmission. Pretty stoked to see that come together. I'll install the shifter once we get the car on the ground. I can hardly wait to see how the shifts feel with this new transmission. It's essentially TR6060 internals. It's no longer like T56 heart. It's gonna be a different vibe. I think it will, at least. I'm really stoked. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Back in the shop for more action on Roxy. It is time to raise it up a little bit so that it's at a better height so that we can install the drive shaft. We're excited. More progress.
Good.
Step number 1 to installing my drive shaft is installing my drive shaft loop. We did this modification before Drag Week last year to be NHRA certified. I did this because Roxy's not actually fast enough to need this stuff. Let me rephrase that. My driving doesn't make Roxy fast enough. She was probably totally capable of being fast enough, but I gotta refine my driving. But that's the whole goal of going on these events, is getting better and having fun. And I mostly just have fun. All right, let's throw this back on. It is drive shaft time, family. Oh man, this is getting crazy close. It's in there, babe.
Good.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to get my clutch line connected here. Check that one off the list. Beautiful. Now let's get my wiring harness tossed over this here trans and plugged in. Okay, y'all, it is time to install our pump for the sprayers for our transmission. Now, this is an add-on that TIC offers for their kick-ass transmissions, and I'm pretty excited about it. This pump pumps fluid from the back of the transmission into 2 different sprayers that spray the front gears under wide open throttle. So we've got some wiring to do to set that up, and mounting this pump is the first step, and then we will figure out where we want our hoses routed, and then we're going to get our hoses custom built since they will have a substantial amount of pressure, and then we will come back and install those. So that's the plan. She's in, folks.
So we've got this hose that branches off. You can see that Y there. And it's going to go to, going to run it up through here, get it away from that exhaust as quickly as we can. And it goes to these 2 fittings. So you have those 2 hoses there. Other side of the pump. But yeah, it sucks out of right here. You can see somewhere in there. You can probably see it better than I can.
Right there.
Yeah, it's already got the fitting on it. So we're just making these hoses. They're pretty cool. So these came from Summit. It's a
Earl's.
Earl's fit. Yeah, that's Earl's. Then what happens is this goes on here. This one's super flared, so it might be hard to demonstrate. But this goes up on here, and then This one has got threads in there. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you take that one, we'll do a better cut. You screw it up on there, and then it acts as kind of a wedge to go up on here. So we're just making our own lines and rocking and rolling.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yep.
Not the most beautiful cut, but. So here is my hose that I've just cut, and this is the kicker of this whole system. This little sleeve has to go onto this hose, and it is such a pain being steel braided, and that flare, I mean, this is a fresh cut. Like, that's as least flared as it's gonna get. And it is so hard to get these on. It just takes so much patience and kind of get some sections on and then use a flathead screwdriver to force the rest in. This system is so nice, but it definitely makes you earn it. Another hose built. This one goes from the pump to the back of the trans to pump fluid out to send to the front of the trans. So as this hose comes around, it will stop right here, and have our filter. I guess I'll flip this over so it says Earl's correctly. We'll have our filter like this in line, and we think we're gonna mount it right here on the back side of the crossmember. It looks pretty good. Well, the test drive was going great until it wasn't. Okay, so this is my maiden voyage in Roxy after the transmission swap, and dude, these gears feel totally different. They feel amazing. However, something has happened, and I believe it happened within my transmission. I was cruising down the highway, 65 miles an hour, 6th gear, roughly 1900 RPM. And it was like I dumped the clutch in first gear. Like, it was like the most intense engine braking feeling. I ripped over into this median. Thankfully, I was in the furthest right lane because anytime I'm on a test drive, I want to be close to where there could be a shoulder. Well, there wasn't a shoulder, but there was this median, thankfully. And yeah, the car just came to a screeching halt. It was like the rear end locked up, or I threw it into a super low gear and dumped the clutch. It was so weird. I mean, the tires didn't lock up and the brakes still worked, but wow, what a weird experience. I don't know what to attribute it to. I've looked underneath the car, visually inspects fine, no leaks, nothing that I can tell that's bound up or messed up visually. Don't know what's going on. I've called Aaron and he's loading up the Ford and the big trailer to come load me up. Wonder what it is. So I've tested my forward gears, first and second. Forward gears seem to work. When I put it in reverse, it just dies. Like, it doesn't die, but as I'm letting the clutch out to hopefully engage reverse, the car just wants to die. It's like I have a brake set, or like reverse is just not there anymore. Weird. kind folks just stopped to check on me. Aaron is en route with the trailer, and I'm as safe as I can be in this median. They said I'm good, and that there is absolutely no good exit to take up there, as I assumed, so I'm gonna chill. Well, there's someone I'm happy to see. Yay! To the rescue. Not exactly the way we wanted to first use our trailer. Oh, jeez. Yes, we plan on taking those ridiculous stickers off that trailer. Looks like Michael got to join. Alright, it's loaded. There was no good way for me to film that. Too stressful. First time pulling it in the trailer. Oh my gosh. Alright, let's take her home and see what happened. We have made it home. Oh, Roxy. Baby girl. Alright, she's unloaded. Crank her up and try and put her in reverse, Aaron.
Okay, the big camera died.
Okay, it's okay.
Just heard it.
Emergency brake is set. As it turned out, I did not have the reverse lockout plugged in all the way, so when I thought I was putting it in reverse, I was actually putting it in 5th gear, which is why it would die when I would try to take off. We got the reverse lockout plugged in tight, and reverse worked beautifully, as did all the rest of the forward gears, so we went and drove the car all evening, like almost 2 hours. The car drove flawlessly. She would not mess up, and I let Aaron drive just in case it happened again so he could experience it. She didn't do it again. We brought her back, put her on the lift. There were no signs of the brakes locking up. The transmission fluid was great. Rear end grease was great. All of the engine fluids looked wonderful. So it was time to redirect our focus back to prep, because on the next episode, you will see us load the car up and head on out to Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0. Oh man, such a good time. See y'all in the next episode.